Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Path of Me. I'm your host, Wendy Hutchinson, and my guest today is a very inspirational gentleman. His name is Brett Harmeling, and his goal is both sharing his financial wisdom and yoga practice and teachings with people to create balance and harmony in both their financial and personal lives. He's really awesome at empowering people to live their best life. Welcome, Brett. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, Wendy.
Yeah. I know you grew up in a very small, sounds like a farming community. And I was wondering if we could just go back kind of to the foundation of your life, which was, it sounds like you were really service-oriented from a very young age. So I was wondering if you could speak to that a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I was born and raised in a little town in Wisconsin called Oostburg, and it's a little Dutch village, and it's an amazing community to be raised in. And from a young age, I grew up on a farm, and I have 3 older sisters and a younger brother, and parents that I saw work really hard. My mom taught special needs and also had her own businesses on the side doing art. And my dad was in the business of farming as well as warehousing. And so I just saw them working really hard their whole life. And they really raised us with a sense of responsibility. We were able to learn from a young age. I can't even remember how young I was when I started driving a lawnmower. We had 2.5 acres of lawn to mow.
Oh my gosh.
Right after that, I just literally remember starting to make money at a young age, delivering newspapers to the local community. And as I grew older, I just got more and more houses to deliver to, and it ended up paying for the things that I wanted, like a bike and things like that. So my parents never gave me anything. And growing up on a subsistence-based farm, we pretty much ate everything that we grew and or harvested.
That's incredible.
From an animal perspective, yeah, right. So if we ever went to McDonald's, it was like going out to eat. Chili's was a big deal.
That's super cool. You also, I know, were very involved in your church community, and you did it sounds like you did some mission work, but I'm not quite clear on that.
Yeah, so my sister Heather, she lived in the Philippines for, I believe, 17 years. And when I was young, I had a hockey injury, kind of set me back. And so I was looking for some purpose in my life. And well, my dad and I ended up going on a mission trip with our church in Oostburg to the Philippines, and that was one of several. I went on 5 or 6 all across the country and the world, which was an unbelievable opportunity. But going there with my dad was just incredible because I was scared. I mean, I was the youngest person by 40 years that was going on this trip. Wow. And we wanted to go build a church camp to deliver the word of God in a community that didn't know who God was.
How old were you at the time?
I think I was 15 or 16 years old.
Wow, that must have really shaped your worldview, having exposure to a different culture, so having that opportunity.
Being there and experiencing that level of humanity and culture really opened my eyes to how good we have it in the United States. Really fast, I was like, whoa, you mean there's not a bus or a taxi to get to this place? We had to jam pack ourselves into these things called jeepneys. And they also use these things called tuk-tuks, which are little motorcycles, and they fit 7 to 10 people on these things. It's unbelievably dangerous.
What? Those are so tiny. I can't. People just must be hanging off the sides.
Yes, I mean, if CPS was in the Philippines, there would be a big issue because the kids would just be hanging off the side on their parents. And
there's no car seats.
No, not a lot of.
That's my guess.
No car seat.
You just kind of rolled the dice and jumped on the tuk-tuk, I guess.
That's right.
So then what inspired you to want to go to a bigger city? Was it just growing up in kind of a smaller community? Were you just interested in experiencing a different kind of lifestyle, or?
Yeah, so growing up in the Midwest in a very strict religion and in a very white dominant society, nothing wrong with that, but I had this taste and this desire to want to get to know people of different colors, different religions, different belief systems. Really, was what it comes down to. Just because I was just so curious how we all live on, like at a young age. I was so curious how we all live on the same planet and how we're so vastly different.
Yeah.
I didn't get that growing up, but what I did get is like structure and foundation to like be able to know that I'm safe in any environment that I put myself in, because I know
It's really powerful to have a strong foundation to spring from.
Yeah.
I'm very, very fortunate.
So luckily, I got into an amazing college called Carthage. It's on the north side of Chicago, and I studied marketing and education, and also got my leadership degree. And so I was very busy in college, and going to school with completely different people because I went to school as a kid from kindergarten through 12th grade with the same people, and like maybe a couple people here and there, but like we got to know each other real good.
Yeah, you're like family by then.
Yeah, for a long time, and so it's been awesome. Like thankful for social media to see people having kids and families and growing and moving, and what they're up to in their professional lives has been really inspiring for me to watch. Just coming from a small community, we've done so much in my opinion.
Yeah, it sounds like your degree was totally in alignment too, and a great springboard for what you're doing now, because it gave you kind of the training and that leadership foundation, because you really are taking a huge leadership role in our community right now. I really admire the work you're doing. And fast forward, getting through college, I know you were super active and involved through your college years. You said you were playing golf and just experiencing, sounds like every kind of activity you kind of sunk your teeth into to get the full experience. But something powerful seemed to happen for you when you experienced and participated in the Mankind Project in 2012. And I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit more about what that's about and how you found it, or how it found you. And it sounds like it really shaped you in a lot of powerful ways.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you saw that. And the Mankind Project is something that I kind of fell into. So I moved right after college to downtown Chicago. So you can imagine the dynamic difference between Oostburg, Wisconsin and Chicago.
Right.
Huge. Even though they're only 2.5 hours apart, they're wildly different. Night and day. And so I was like, I had to get pretty serious pretty quick with my life. And so I ended up working for a technology firm called High Point Technology. And I did consulting work for them, and basically we did IT services, and I also was in real estate. And so I had these 2 gigs going on. I was loving my life. I was super busy. I was lit up. I was making good money. I was living healthy. I was connecting with top performers in all the industries, and really generated some awesome contacts. Well, ended up happening where I had a bid on an RFP so that's a proposal on a project in a residential high-rise building, and it fell through. And I was really, I put a lot of energy around that, and for an income-based perspective, and it didn't work out. And my CEO was like, "Hey, Brett, I know you're going through a hard time." I think I was also going through a breakup at that time. And he just noticed that I was going through a hard time. And the CEO is like, "I want you to go to this men's weekend. It's I don't want to tell you a lot about it. I just want you to go check it out." And I was kind of offended. I'm like, does this guy think I need help? Because I just lost a deal. I'm more over it than he is. What's his? And so, because I trust and love this guy, and he's a family friend, I was like, all right, I'll do it. I'll take the leap of faith. If you built this amazing company and are successful, and you've done the work, then I'm willing to check it out. And so I went, and I was. It was kind of like. It was kind of like I had just been born again.
Wow. That's really powerful.
I went through the weekend. It's called the New Warrior Training Adventure. And what it is it's basically 48 hours. You show up on Friday, leave on Sunday. And through that 48 hours, you get to look at things inside of you that you've held on to, hide, repressed, and denied from a young age. And the people who facilitate the weekend hold an unbelievably sacred and safe place for you to do your work and let energy flow out of you in a bioenergetic way, so that you can just touch even just a piece of inside of you that you might have not even you've had a blind spot in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And what it allows you to do is just create a healthy relationship with that blind spot so that you can step into your power and like be a better lover, be a better warrior, be a better magician with your intellect, and then really lead from a place of like unconditional love.
Can anybody sign up for that? Like, that sounds like a really incredible.
Absolutely. So the people, you have to be 18 or older, and you have to be a man. You can be of any sexual preference, any religion, any race, any. I mean, the coolest part about the weekend was there was like a billionaire on my weekend, and there was also a homeless person on the weekend, and it didn't.
A homeless person went to it too? That's so cool.
Right. So it's not about the money. The weekend does cost some money, but that's part of the work as well. It's like, how can you come up with an agreement to pay for this weekend, right? Because it's I don't know how much it is now, probably like $700, but it's really like a $10,000 experience, and you're like,
if you're unpacking all of that deep stuff and you come out a changed person, that $700 is money well spent. I mean, it sounds like that's actually a bargain.
That's right. And so what I like to tell people that are interested in it, I'm like, it's a way to help you wake up and see the stuff that you don't see in yourself and look at it in a clean, healthy way so that you can process it and just have a different relationship with whatever it is. And it'll help you in your job, your relationships, your relationship with yourself, like every aspect of life. Even if you're crushing it at life, there's always work that can be done. And the Mankind Project needs men that aren't so broken, quote unquote, right?
Right.
As mentors and leadership leadership.
Is that offered all over the country, or is it just? This is just so fascinating to me.
It's an international organization. We're in like 142 locations.
Wow. So once you're an alumni of that, having been through one, or maybe people go more than once, I don't know. Do you become part of the institution, or do you just go on your way as a kind of a changed and inspired individual?
That's a good question. So you end up becoming what's called a warrior brother. That's what we call like initiated men. And that initiation sounds kind of like, whoa, like what's that? And that's because so many people associate initiation with like gang memberships, or like cults or fraternities. Right. And the truth is like men really in today's society have never found a healthy way to be initiated into the world as a man.
Right.
After you go through the weekend, then you're considered a warrior brother. And then there's a whole another process that you go into where you learn how to sit in a circle of men called integration groups. And so I've been meeting with my integration group since I moved to Houston. It was the first thing I did was I found an integration group, which is just a circle of men. And we meet every Monday evening, and there's 12 of us. And every Monday, like 7 or 8 show up. Obviously people have life and things happen. And we all have our own stuff. We all have our own things that we're dealing with. And we're a very diverse group of men. And we just hold space for each other to do our work. And that's
awesome. So it's a really safe, non-judgmental space where people can come and kind of share and process what's going on internally, emotionally, maybe, psychologically, physically, whatever. And kind of, and as a group, you kind of hold space and help people work through their stuff as a kind of a collective, I guess, kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely correct. It's a safe place to do your work. And so that could look like an addiction problem. It could look like a relationship problem. It could look like a good problem. Like, hey guys, I'm actually afraid to make so much money because then this could happen in my life. Or I'm afraid to, it could be animal related. It could be anything, any issue that's causing.
I think a lot of people are actually, they play small because they're afraid of their greatness, like what their potential is and who they can be. And it scares them a little bit. I think there are a lot of people who have so many gifts and talents and opportunities, but there's a little piece of them that doesn't quite feel worthy of it, or that kind of holds them back and goes, no, I can't really be that because I've always been this, my whole life. So how cool that you are a part of that. I honor the work you're doing, both personally and you know, creating an example for other people to follow. Because as you are doing and unpacking all that inner work and elevating your life, you're able to show up in a more powerful way in your classes. I know you're a yoga teacher, and also just for people in general in your community. So I honor that. Congratulations on on finding that incredibly empowering side of yourself. Really cool. And that was just like the beginning. That was in 2012. Look how far you've come.
Yeah, so that was like the first dip of the cloth in terms of like becoming conscious with myself and like being able to love myself. And, you know, like Margaret Mead says, never doubt that a small group of people can change the world, because, matter of fact, it's the only thing that ever has. And so between that and my yoga community here now in Houston, like we are up to big, every person that I know that is doing these kind of work in some capacity has taken the upgrade in their life, even if it's like 1% more accountability, more integrity, better relationships, just living with an open heart and knowing that they are like what the possibility is for them to create like success in their own world.
It's really incredible too to observe people who are taking that next step, even if it's just an incremental step to better their lives, to better themselves, because the ripple effect is exponential. You know, when we can do our inner work and actually become the highest and best versions of ourselves, that ripples out and touches so many people like we're not even aware of. I know you're doing that through your both your professional work and your, you know, yoga instruction and showing up for your students in your yoga practice. I wanted to find out how you fell into the big community. I know you're a huge part of it, which is the yoga community you are blessed to be a part of. How did you find that studio or that, I know you're a teacher there at the location on Allen Parkway here in Houston. What led you to yoga and how did you end up there?
Yeah, so yoga well, I've been doing yoga for about 8 years now. But when I moved to Houston, there was this girl who was my neighbor, her and her now husband, and they have a kid, are from Michigan. And so we always like ran each other walking the dogs. Anyway, she was like, hey, you need to go check out this new yoga studio that's opening next week. And so sure enough, I was like, all right, I'm new. Like I'm open to try things. I just landed in Houston, like literally. And so she's like, go, like, you want to come with me? And I'm like, absolutely. And so I went with her and her now husband. And I was in child's pose, which is, you know, big toes touching, knees to the edge of the mat, arms long out in front of you. And Laura Russ, one of the founders, who is formerly known as Laura Calcaterra, she gave me a hands-on assist where she stepped on the tops of my feet and put pressure on my sacrum, which is your lower back. And I just had this sensation of awakening and safeness, like just fill into my body. And from that point, I just was like, and then at the end of practice, it was a very physical experience. I sweat a lot, I stretched a lot, I moved a lot. And so I really, it shifted. It was like, I need more of this in my life. And then.
That was just your first class?
At Big. Which
okay, I was like, that was your first yoga experience? That's
no. But I like the way that they greeted me, the energy of the studio, like I'm very receptive to energy.
Yeah, they have great energy there.
And like going there and just feeling loved and they didn't know who I was. I'm like, whoa, I kind of feel like I'm at home, which to this day, I still feel like I'm at home when I'm there.
It really is. It really is your community. It's so beautiful. You found it right away, shortly after moving to Houston. So how cool is that?
Yeah. And then by no coincidence, I got introduced to Nancy Perry, who's the other founder of Big Power Yoga, who's now like my life coach, my mentor. I mean, I love and respect that woman more than anybody.
I've heard incredible things about her, and I'm hoping to get her on my show. I'll have to.
I'll put in a good word for you.
An introduction. Thank you. Because I would love. She's so inspiring, and the community she's created is so powerful. I'd love to magic here sprinkled on my show and share her message and passion and vision, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah,
She'd be great.
she'd be a treat to have. Yeah, she lights up every room and every conversation that she's involved in. And it just goes to say, like, she's just training, committed listening and speaking. And that's how I found Lightyear Leadership, which is the leadership methodology that I practice, study, and deliver every single day of my life.
Tell me a little bit about that. What exactly is Lightyear Leadership, and what does it entail? How did you become involved in that program?
Okay, so I did my yoga teacher training in Panama after my fourth 40 days at Big Power Yoga. I'm like, all right, it's it. I want to take the upgrade in my practice. Don't even know if I want to teach, but I know that I want to know more about this practice. And so I went, and it was, so it's called the TEP, which stands for Teacher Empowerment Program. It's a yoga training, and it's a Baptiste yoga training led by Big Power Yoga. So it incorporates principles of Lightyear Leadership, which are simple, actionable tools that allow you to lead yourself better, listen to yourself better, and then you're able to transform your own reality and then help other people do the same thing. Because the truth is, if you think about it, like, we're always only listening to ourselves.
24/7.
Like, I'm saying something, you're listening to what I'm saying, but you're actually listening to what you're thinking, what I'm saying. And so that's that perception and how we deliver things, getting simple tools like the line of choice. So simple, clear line, right? Either you're above the line or you're below the line. And so above the line looks like things like love, forgiveness, gratitude, choice. And below the line would be like things like grief, shame, unforgiveness, fear. And so you knowing every conversation, every moment that you're in, when you're like thinking about this line, and you're like, am I above the line or below the line in the way that I'm reacting to this situation? Because we want, what the work teaches you is how to respond, not react.
Ooh, that's so powerful. Because most people are caught in the reaction phase versus pausing and having that awareness and choosing to respond in an elevated way.
Correct.
That's an awesome tool to have in your toolbox.
And it teaches awesome concepts, like balance is dynamic. Like, you can't do one thing to your body or money and then expect the rest of it to all just fall into place. It's teaching that when you shift one area of your life, you're gonna probably have to give up something, or you're gonna have to adjust an area of your life. It could be time with your family. It could be money. It could be, it could be a lot of things. And so just understanding your options and impacts. Again, being held by an unbelievably supportive community of vision and goals-based thinkers, entrepreneurs, and people that are up to making a big impact. So
you have to be a yoga teacher to be a part of that Lightyear.
Absolutely do not. Yeah, most people are not yoga teachers, actually.
Really?
Yeah, Suzanne Conrad, who
I'm ready to sign up. I want to check it out.
Absolutely sign up. And Nancy Perry actually leads the Personal Legacy series, which is the level 1 training. And there's different levels of trainings and different workshops, and they've designed, oh my God, I'm so excited about this. They designed what's called the Lightyear Leadership Hub. And so you know how Facebook takes people's past moments or pictures and you post about it and it's exciting? Well, the Lightyear Leadership Hub, what it does is it posts, so each person has a profile and you have your personal health and career goals on there. And then you also have your legacy statement and your vision statement. And so if I wanted to click on your profile, for instance, I could see what you're up to and what you want to create in your future. So rather than looking back, I can say, how can I help Wendy move the ball forward on any of the objectives that she has in her goals? And because I understand and know what you're committed to, also, if I see you doing something that's not in alignment with what you're up to and what you want to create, I can just say, hey, Wendy, how is this going in your world? And it might just flip the switch of you being unproductive to like going and getting back on track with that.
It really kind of creates a not only support network, but also somewhat of an accountability in some way to kind of help redirect and keep the focus on always moving towards your goals, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super cool. Gosh, Brett, you're up to so many cool things. I don't even know where to go next.
Well, it sounds like a lot, and the best part is they all integrate together like pretty seamlessly. So currently I like teach yoga on Mondays and Fridays at 2 p.m. at Big Power Yoga Mantras location. And so it's not like I'm teaching all the time and have a lot of time spent there. I actually designate almost all of my time to my financial practice and my team here and working with families and businesses to get them the education that they deserve being an American.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about your financial practice. I would love to share your information with our community so people could reach out to you if they want to have a consultation or learn a little bit more. I know that you are really passionate about helping people have balance in their lives, personally, financially, and professionally. So let's speak a little bit to the financial work and planning that you can help people with.
I'd be happy to. It's usually the number one reason people ask me to come on podcasts is like, okay, you're doing something quite different than most people in the industry. And the real key difference is that my firm and I are product agnostic, which means I'll never go on a podcast or do a public speaking event or even in a personal meeting. We'll never be like, this product's it. This product's what's going to help you be successful, because we found that, in today's complex financial world, there's so many decisions that we're taxed with. And, just like you have your coaching business, Wendy, I would hate for you to have to think about and manage all of your expectations about what the money that you're making is going to do for you, and if it's protected. And so that's why me and my team come in, and our overall purpose at White Rhino is to educate and empower individuals to build a robust, reliable, complete, and impenetrable balance sheet. And we do that by challenging common financial myths and rethinking wealth. And so that sounds like a mouthful, and that's just
it's a little overwhelming.
Crystal clear though what we do, by challenging common financial myths. So the things that you think or hear about money, it could be a good thing, but we want to dive in using the resources and skills we have as a team to make sure that they make sense mathematically and contractually. Because oftentimes what happens is, people will go and work with someone and a product will be placed, whether it's an investment or insurance or annuity, you name it. There's thousands of products right out there, and there's thousands of ideas. And so the number one thing that I sit down with people to do, whether they're worth $1 billion or $10,000, the first thing that we do is we sit down with them, we share our philosophy, and we help them get financially organized. And we do that using a proprietary software tool that shows them their entire financial picture. And it's called the Living Balance Sheet. And it's beautiful and it's powerful, and it allows me to work with people all across the country, much like we're meeting right now. We're not face to face, but we're checking in online.
Right. So people all over can reach out to you and work with you, even if they don't live in Houston, Texas. Is that correct?
Right.
Awesome. Well, I will put your web address below so people can contact you, and whatever other contact information you're willing to share, I will edit that in so that we can share your wisdom and your lights with people all over the world and the country.
Yeah, I love it. So the three things that I focus on in that whole spiel of what I just talked about, I focus on planning. So family or individual planning, helping people hit the goals that they want to and protect their money, grow their money, and then invest their money. I do business valuations, and I do corporate wellness. So really three things. And those three things have transformed. The reason I do what I do is because I have seen how the impact that it's had on entire companies, on families, on marriages.
Yeah, right.
Just putting it all out there, and it's never about shame. Like, I never want people to hear it's about, oh, you're not doing a good job or you did a bad job, because the best part about being a human is that we've been given the gift of choice, and we just get to simply choose what we want to do with what we have. And when you have a tool and a team like a very powerful tool and a team to help you see the whole picture, then 100% of the time, you'll make better decisions.
And every day is an opportunity to make a different decision. Just because we're in a certain position today doesn't mean tomorrow we can't, or even later today, make an impactful decision that's going to change the direction, right?
That's right.
So awesome. I want to encourage my audience to check out Brett's website, contact him if you're interested in any financial, if you have any financial questions, or just even explore what he might have to offer for you, because I know that he's got incredible integrity, and that's one thing that you always want to look for when you're working with somebody, especially when it comes to your financial portfolio.
Yeah, and everyone that's on my team is licensed, and so we hold fiduciary responsibility to keep any information, even the fact that we're working with you, private. So my clients, unless they've given me consent, I do not tell people that they're my client, and that's just to protect them, their identity, and like everything about their situation. So we do not charge a planning fee, which could shock a lot of people. But we believe that the education and the value that we create in the world will then come back to us in the form, because when it comes to money, it comes into your balance sheet and then it comes off your balance sheet, and it's what you do in between to keep the most amount of that money that makes the difference. And so in between, in the dash, is where obviously products or services or strategies are going to be built, and then those products are placed, which are third-party companies from us, or outside of us, and then those companies pay us on the back end. So that's what allows us to like really do an awesome job and waive those fees. It takes the fear of like, how much are they going to charge me?
Right.
My suggestion and want for people is to just have the conversation, because when you recreate a new relationship with money and it's healthy, then it's actually exciting to talk about. Even if it's around debt, when you have a plan in place, it's like, hey, I'm chipping away at this, and I know I'm doing all that I can do to find a place where this is going to eventually die on my balance sheet someday. Whereas or if it's the other end of it, some people come into windfalls, like they get a lot of money from someone that passed away. Like, what do I do with this?
Right.
And so there's just, it's a huge world and it's complex, and that's why we make it simple with a picture, essentially.
That's so awesome. I want to shift gears a little bit, because you did this really cool trip I wanted to share. If you could maybe talk about, we talked about it before we started recording here, but it looked like it was such an amazing experience. And I'm going to drop some photos in as we're, when I edit the video, but tell me a little bit about that trip you took last year.
So that was actually this year.
What was this year?
Yeah, it was in 2018, and I went to Ethiopia with Lightyear Leadership. We did what was called a global share back. And so that is, when you get to a certain level into Lightyear Leadership work, and you've done your legacy series and things like that, the encouragement and the want is for you to share what landed in you with the rest of the world. And so what we did is we partnered with Imagine One Day, which is a nonprofit organization that provides literacy skills and learning environments for people in cultures that could not afford or ever create that. And so we raised a bunch of money, $89,000, I believe, and it built a school. Wow. It built an entire school, and it also that's enough money for that school to sustain itself for 5 years. And so people are like, why Ethiopia? Like, why would you go there? Well, Lightyear's actually been going there, formerly known as Igolu, for I believe 10 years now, and they've seen dramatic change in the economic climate because of the work they've been doing. So when we were there at first, we did a workshop for women only, women in power, women in like religious sectors, and women in within the government that made an impact, because women formerly in their country were not given any power or any say. And so we give them the skills that Lightyear teaches to go then and empower their communities with, and that makes them a better leader. And then on the back half of the trip, we went into So we had 176 like high-powered like government officials, religious leaders, and like people that like are identified as leaders in the country. And they came to Addis Ababa for like literally a conference that Suzanne led. And we had breakout sessions and helped these people process through their work. And it was incredible because a lot of these people didn't know English, so we had translators, and it was just a beautiful dance of like of them just being supported in a way that allowed them to be free, right? Free from their previous lack of experience in leadership training, previous cultural like belief systems, to disrupt them and like let them know that they live in choice too.
That probably came as a surprise to them because clearly, there's a little bit of oppression, or a limited thinking, I would think.
Limited thinking is a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And so then on the back half of the trip, because we were there for like 20 days, I believe.
Wow, 20 days? That's incredible.
14 days.
14. I was going to say 20 days. That's so...
I was in Panama for 20 days from yoga training, but yeah, 14 days. And so the back half of the trip, then we went out into the communities. We went up to the Tigray region, which is where we then got welcomed, and we got to literally break ground for the school that we funded. And we got to see what the community and the school looked like before it was built. And they literally are sitting on the floors. There's rocks just stacked up. There's first grade through 12th grade in the same classroom.
Oh my gosh.
There's no litter. There's no writing tools. Like some of them use rocks. I mean, it was just incredible.
Wow.
And then so we did that for a couple of days, and then we actually shifted and went to visit a community that Imagine One Day built, I believe 2 years prior, to go check on them, say hello, blah, blah, and the love and compassion.
I know those pictures were amazing.
These kids, man. And not only kids, communities. So these schools, once they're built, become sustainable. And that's the thing. So Lightyear teaches these people, it's not like they know that they're not going to get any more money from Imagine One Day, because they're getting the leadership schools to educate their teachers and students how to live in choice and create. So like if a window breaks, like Imagine One Day is not going to replace it. Y'all have the tools and skills now. We've given you this, and it's for 5 years. In the next 5 years, your job is to make this a sustainable community. What ends up happening is just the most beautiful thing. It becomes the community hub. I mean, everything gets held at the school because it's the nicest place.
Right.
So you see an increase in education. Like 40 kids, I guess 40 kids used to go to this school, and now 400 go to this school.
Wow. Are you serious? That's incredible.
It's a huge shift, and it makes a big impact on these communities that are literally in the middle of nowhere. To take individual Land Rovers to go on these paths to get to these communities. And it brought me right back to my childhood where we began this conversation, because this little Ethiopian kid saw me, and I had a beard at the time, and he was freaked out. He started crying. And I hugged him. He's wearing a crown that says, "Welcome, Brett Harmeling."
Oh my gosh.
And I realized that it was because, and I was like, and I asked Suzanne later, and she's like, "Oh, honey, you're so sweet. It's because he's never seen a white man before."
What? Wow.
So I had a big aha moment that we live on the same planet, but a lot of people just haven't seen culture.
Yeah.
And so it was just so humbling and such a beautiful experience in every capacity. And
you can't leave an experience like that and not be changed.
I agree.
Level.
And so I'm ready to go on the next trip.
I bet you are. I know you're probably in for a year now. You're like, just sign me up. I'll make time.
Yeah.
That's really incredible. So do you get updates? How do you stay in touch? Do you get, updates on the progress once you guys come back? How do you keep a pulse on what's happening with the projects that you're involved in?
Yeah. So how do we get an update? So it's really new. The school's just been built probably. It's not even been a year. It takes a lot of time for them to get the materials to these locations. I mean, literally I think we're on off road for 6 hours before we saw humans again. Like we're like African stuff. Yeah, I'm serious.
Wow, it's very remote.
These are desolate locations.
Wow.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yeah, no running water and like things like that. So it's crazy. It shifted my perspective and allowed me to look at like things in a different way. Mm-hmm. And every time that like I'm in the normal day-to-day routine and going through my life, it's just like, okay, I just instantly snap back to remembering how those people have it. And it puts me in a place of gratitude, which is above the line.
Right.
And I make things that are really challenging, simple by doing that.
That's beautiful.
So
that's a huge tool, that above the line and below the line.
Yeah. And it's really simple, right? It's not like some complex thing. It's like, am I below the line right now? Okay, I need to shift above. How do I do it?
Yeah, right. That's it. It's really cut and dry. I might have to incorporate that because I'm always talking about energy, right? Higher frequency, lower frequency.
Yeah.
Same thing, but above the line and below the line is a much easier concept for people to grasp. So I might have to incorporate that into my explanation of my work. So that was very impactful for you and powerful. How many people went on this trip and were involved in this project?
Yeah, so I believe there was 22 total, 9 of which came from Houston. I could be wrong on that number, but I know 9 came from Houston, which was awesome. We all found out about this kind of work and whatnot through Nancy Perry. Mm-hmm. I like in Houston at least, and we were all supercharged from our yoga teacher training, and like we got really involved in the work. For the people that it landed, right? Everyone's on their own timeline. It's not. I don't ever want people to hear that it's bad if you're not doing things like the Mankind Project or Landmark or Light Your Leadership or whatever it might be. Like, it's not that it's bad. It's just like, man, these tools and these organizations exist so people can like elevate their level of understanding for humanity and like how we can adapt and be with people in different cultures and belief systems. Because that's what I think is the most beautiful thing about life is like the peculiarity that life brings. Like we are so unique, each of us. And if you think about it, we have done a good job of getting along together, considering the circumstances.
Yes.
That there's wars and things, but like we can all go bombastic like quick. Mm-hmm. For some reason, there's some energy that holds us together and lets us live in our authentic power.
What I love about the work you're doing too is it's about really connection. It's really about community connection, reaching across all kinds of borders and boundaries and helping our fellow man. And I think that is so beautiful, Brett, because there's such a culture of separation that we live in the United States. People are very much programmed to identify for themselves, look out for themselves. And it's so refreshing to know there are these communities that offer these foundational tools and opportunities to elevate and come together. So thank you for the work you're doing, but also for shedding light on these things. So other people who are interested in elevating and expanding who they are and their contribution can look into these things. I'm guessing that Light Year Leadership is something that is nationwide then, or is that something just...
That's actually, I believe it's globally. Like I think, because all the meetings are on Zoom, so you'd log in and there'd be like, I don't know, between 10 and 30 people or however many people would be on the same call. And what's cool, just like the Mankind Project, is you create this safe container that allows for things to just get generated, like possibilities get generated. People talk and then you're like, whoa, I never thought about that like that. And then you take the upgrade and you elevate like your thinking, and it's just a really cool experience to be a part of. And then once you do that, then you're a part of this global community of like-minded individuals that are thinking on the same page at the same frequency, like that all want unconditional love for everyone, because that's what really changes and transforms the way that we are with each other as humans.
Absolutely. When was this program founded? Do you know? How long has like your leadership been around? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
So, yeah, Suzanne Conrad's work it's been like probably over 20 years. So she was formerly the director of culture. So she, for Lululemon,
Mm-hmm.
so she was responsible for creating the culture of Lululemon, which, you know, if you've ever been to a Lululemon store, like it's just a little bit different. The way that they communicate, the way that they help you, the vibes that you get in your Lululemon store, like really embody that of like love and just being.
I love that.
And yeah, so it's something simple like that. And then she shifted that into helping people on a personal level, which thank God, because we've all benefited a tremendous amount from her work and her learnings.
Well, I really want to honor all the work you've done personally and all that you're giving back to the community, Brett. You're such a beautiful individual. You're full of light and you're so inspiring, which is why I wanted to invite you on today. I always ask my guests if they have any words of wisdom, you know, that you can share that maybe helped you kind of transcend a difficult time in your life. Because a lot of people are kind of going through dips and valleys and they're kind of in the weeds, you know, especially right now. I'm finding that society in general is kind of facing a lot of internal turmoil. So I was just wondering if you could share some wisdom. I know you've got so many tools in your toolbox with our audience today.
Yeah, so the way that we learn is there's two ways. It's either through wisdom or experience. And what I've realized in what I've learned is that that each one of us are like our best project. And if you're pouring energy into you as a project, then like you as a project is going to make a bigger impact for the world. And that can look like a lot of different ways. Like nobody's expecting everyone to be a yoga teacher, financial advisor, a light year leadership ambassador. Like nobody's expecting this out of anyone, because differences in what people do is the beauty of how the world works. And that's how we're able to get along, is by seeing people as they are. And, you know, like leadership just comes down to the ability to translate a vision into reality. And the more in tune you are with yourself, the more you can bridge the gap between your vision and your reality. And whatever leadership looks like to you, the one thing that remains true is that, like, through self-love, you have to be able to lead yourself first before you can lead anybody else, period.
And that's so beautiful. Beautiful words of wisdom and absolute truth. So hopefully that will help somebody out there, because really alignment with our authentic self and authentic power and self-love is the key that unlocks everything and allows us to then have this infinite well that we can give or draw from to share with others, right?
Yeah. And as the Ethiopians said, they made shirts for us that said, transform the world through unconditional love.
Oh, I love that.
It was so cute.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. Do you think you guys would ever have an opportunity to go back? And are you always going to a new community to do your work? Because it would be kind of cool to go back, 5 years later and see the progress with your own eyes.
Yeah, so that's a good question. A lot of these people are on Facebook, and I've stayed pretty connected with them. And
that's cool.
So funny. So their language is so funny to just see, like, how much they love what we do as Americans is so rare to them, and just to see them loving things and like trying to say things in English and then not making any sense. It's so great. But yeah, absolutely. Like in my vision, I want to go back and I want to be a part of the growth of Ethiopia, because the real truth is they're trying to become a middle income country. 2020, which means they're free of foreign aid. And they're making
that's an ambitious goal.
Huge strides. They're making huge strides.
Wow, that's amazing.
And so, like, they just elected the first woman president ever.
Really? That's so exciting.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
Change is happening.
I have a question for you. If people want to contribute to your organization, how can they do that? I think it'd be awesome to get more involvement if people aren't participating in the Lightyear Leadership Program to actually support it financially if they want to make a contribution. I'll make sure that I get that information from you, Brett, and drop it in video below.
Perfect. Yeah. There's a lot of ways to contribute, and the number one way is to get plugged in, do your work, and get yourself integrated into like what you want to bring to the world. Like figure that out first, and then if you want to, I always say do that first and then contribute financially, because your money will go a long way, but will go longer is if you're impacting the humans around you in your world.
Absolutely. And there's a huge ripple effect once you can do your inner work and clear all of that, release things that no longer serve you and elevate. It's incredible how many people you can impact just in your everyday life, not even trying, just showing up at the grocery store and being kind, or paying for someone's coffee, or just showing up as the best version of you. Is incredible, the ripple effect that takes place, right? It doesn't even have to be this huge intentional thing. You could just be an elevated version of you and create impact. I feel, anyways.
I completely agree.
So I'm just going to wrap it up here, Brett. Thank you so much for sharing this hour with me. It's been such an honor to share your story and learn about all these different opportunities for people who maybe want to get involved or do a little more exploration and personal growth type work. I highly recommend yoga. I love yoga myself. It's such a great physical, spiritual, emotional tool to have in your toolbox. And also, for me personally, meditation is a huge part of my daily practice, just staying balanced and coming to center. So are there any final words before we say goodbye to this beautiful audience tuning in today?
No, I just want to thank you for taking the time to set this call up, and appreciate you for what you're doing, and the people that get to work with you, how you're elevating them through elevating your own self. So
yeah, thank you so much, Brett. I just want to say namaste.
Yeah, namaste.
And to my audience, thank you so much for joining us today. If you want to learn more, I'll have some contact information for Brett, and you could probably find out more by Googling the Mankind Project or Lightyear Leadership. I hope you have a beautiful day, and as always, I love you, and I encourage you to love yourselves. Thank you.